Hey everyone, I am Gwen of Sunday Crafternoon with Gwen, and I am here to talk a little bit about my mental health journey on today, the Mental Health Action Day. And it is a day that's designed to encourage people to move from talking about mental health and making it more normal to actually taking action for themselves or supporting action for other people who need mental health help. I am somebody who is currently getting help with my mental health. I have been in therapy for about 8 months now. It is not the first time that I've been in therapy by any means. I have been literally saved by mental health. I'm an attempted suicide survivor. That happened when I was 17. And what happened for me was probably about 2 years ago. I really started to learn more about self-care and what that looks like. And I really think I started to kind of reckon with the fact that I was probably ignoring some things that were going on for me that I shouldn't really be ignoring. Um, when my son was born, I almost died. He was born and the labor and delivery was pretty intense and awful. But then it was actually the day after he was born. I was still in the hospital, obviously. I had a C-section and got up and went to use the bathroom. And then the next thing I knew, I was on the floor and the nurse was calling stat, and there were like 20 people in the room. And they eventually figured out that I got an infection. And I was in the hospital for 5 days. And then the day that I got out, I was able to go home, but then the next full day I had to go get a PICC line put in so my husband could run an IV for me for the next 10 days, twice a day, so I didn't die. And that was a hugely traumatic experience that I didn't really deal with very well. And I'm forgiving myself for that because I was busy being a new mom for the first time. I had a baby who I love and adore. And there was a lot to do there. So it was really easy to kind of compartmentalize and not deal with the trauma. And the fact of the matter is part of why it was so easy to compartmentalize and do that is because I've been doing it my whole life. So I kind of put that to the side. And then I started to have other issues. I had secondary infertility. We were never able to have a second child. My moods and my periods started to get really weird, and I ended up going through menopause at 40, which is not normal. And out of that, I've had bone loss and broke my back a couple years ago and ended up seeing a bone health specialist who, when I told her my story, she had actually come from working with menopausal women. And I said, I think that this is all the result of my son's birth and how traumatic that was. She said, I can't say that like in a court of law, but I 100% believe you. And I think that that's what's happened to your body. So that was kind of all percolating in my head. And right before the pandemic, I got I was getting this nudge from inside that I should address that, but I didn't really want to because it's not really fun. It's not fun to examine your trauma and see how it's impacted your life, but it's really important. And so I started to look into doing that. Then there was a global pandemic and I was like, nope, we can go back into survival mode. I'm really good at surviving. I have done it for 46 years now. But the thing that I kind of recognize as the pandemic wore on is that there's surviving and then there's thriving. And I'm really tired of just surviving. I really want to thrive. And I've been able to thrive in so many different aspects of my life. I have a wonderful marriage that has been, we're coming up on 21 years. I have an incredible kid who's going to be 15 next week. I have amazing friendships that have, some have lasted the course of my life. I have so many friends. I've built a really successful endeavor with Sunday Crafternoon with Gwen that we've had this huge impact on the community. But the thing that I feel like is I've not always done the best of taking care of myself. And I recognized that it was really time to do that. And I think that's something that we don't hear enough, that it's important to take time for ourselves, and it's important to do the things that we need to do to make ourselves whole. I think that it's a message that everyone should hear, but I think it's especially easy for women to not hear that message and to shun ourselves to the sides and focus on everything else. So, about 6 months into the pandemic, I realized it was not going to end, and I should just see what I could do as far as finding someone to see via telehealth. So I did that, and I began that process, and my therapist went through all kinds of different testing with me, which I thought was great. She's very scientifically based. We did the adverse childhood experiences test, which is, you can look into that. It's not great. And then we did some more testing too. And she diagnosed me with PTSD. And I hated that. I'm like, I don't have PTSD. What do you know? You're just, someone with degrees and years of experience and tons of training. But the thing that is great about her is she is super smart, and she really had my number, and she realized that my curiosity and my drive to improve myself will get me there eventually, but it takes me time. So we have continued on with our practicing. Different things have happened that have helped me kind of begin to make peace with and understand my diagnosis and recognize that it is, in fact, what's going on. We've started some different therapies that help address PTSD. I've done EMDR once now, which is kind of amazing. And I've started to learn a lot more about the physical changes that happen to the brain when you go through and survive trauma. And it's kind of a lot. It's a lot to take in, and it's a lot to kind of grapple with and make peace with and absorb. But it's really important. And I kind of think of this whole thing as like the hero's journey, and how you have to kind of go through the heart of the thing that you're most afraid of to emerge triumphant on the other side. So that's kind of where I am today, is I'm on my journey. And sometimes, I take more steps than others. Sometimes I just sort of sit down and refuse to move, but I keep going. And that's really the lesson of my whole life, is that finding a way to keep going, finding a way to keep reaching out and searching for answers and people who will help you on your journey, people who will support you and help make you, find the way to create wholeness for yourself. That is really what mental health is all about, because mental health is just like physical health in that it varies. Some days you feel great, some days you don't. The difference with mental health is that people don't like to talk about it, and it's harder sometimes to find resources to get that support that you need. So I'm happy to be sharing those resources throughout the day today. I'm happy to be a resource whenever I can be to friends, family, whoever, if they're looking for help. So please, if you feel like you need some help, go ahead and get it. You are worth it and you deserve it. And I'm right there with you, learning for myself, creating like the most whole and complete version of myself that I can be. So it's okay to be scared, because I get scared too. But we're worth fighting for, and we're worth all of the effort that goes into being the best versions of ourselves. So go ahead and take the time that you need for yourself to create that person, and it's really worth it. Thank you for watching this. If you've watched it all the way to the end, I really appreciate all the support that I've gotten from my community for all my mental health efforts. I think it's so important, and it just means the world to me. So thank you for all of that, and love you guys. I hope that you have a good day and you learn something useful, and that you are someone who embraces your own mental health and does everything that you need to do to make it better. Thanks. Bye.